Hello, welcome back. Let's play another game. Training game, 15 minutes each, 10 seconds extra per move. And let's give it a go. Ooh, we have the black pieces against a strong player. Let's see what happens. e4, e5. We bring the knights out. And I'll play a6. We'll see if we get an exchange or a more typical version. I'll develop the other knight. Typical version of the Ruy Lopez. Okay, he castles. And I will now push this bishop back. And probably then bring this bishop here, look to castle myself. He defends that pawn. This pawn's already defended, so I believe I can just castle. And we'll go from there. Probably going to strike in the center. He's preparing that move that way. I'm sure this is essentially theory. I'm also fairly sure I can play here. He drops the bishop back. But since I think that's theory, let's do it. Even though it left this pawn undefended, it might have been wrong for me to do that. And now I sort of think this might make sense. Let's keep that relatively solid. This bishop might come this way, or it still might come out these ways, you never know. But this knight kind of looks a bit funny, doesn't it? Does it want to come here and then ultimately get kicked back to here? My position's very cramped is basically where we're at, and also my theory knowledge is gone. So I'm now on my own. Let's think about what we do. Probably already made a mistake, by the way, earlier. But, okay. His bishop's still not doing anything, but very soon it's going to be doing something after this is played. Were I to take, he can take back like this, or he could even try something like this. I don't think that would necessarily work. But I wonder if I want to play this to prevent him from just easily doing what he wants to do. Because then after take, I guess still it doesn't really prevent anything. He still gets his attack well and truly going. So, not an easy position for me to be in. Not an easy position for me to be in at all. You know, if I were to bring my knight back, it doesn't have a lot of squares to go to. This move seems to make some sense, but I just feel very passive and cramped, essentially. Maybe I can play this, give my bishop another square. Don't like this position. Looking at captures, since there are no checks available. And I could put this queen here to attack this pawn. You can defend that pawn in a multitude of ways, though. Maybe I could consider this kind of a move, but then he can actually take this. If I take back, he then takes the knight. And if he takes this, I could jump here. That's an interesting idea. Let's say he just jumps back, defending the knight from the pawn. Then could I get away with take, and take with check? He comes in. I don't think so, because my queen's just not in the game yet. Could I strike in the center? I don't think so. Unfortunately, but maybe I do bring the knight back for that reason now. Also just an extra set of eyes on this square for what that's worth. But after take, can I play this? He pushes. This knight almost certainly has to drop further back. And I just feel that his bishops are really super active. Everything looks very good for him. I don't know how to handle this situation. Really don't. So I could play this and give the pawn up. to take. And then if he takes, I guess I can take, he takes back. Then I put this bishop here attacking the rook. I mean, I'm giving a pawn up, but it frees my position actually quite a lot. It's really quite interesting. Pawn sacrifice. Maybe I play this first. If I do this first, he beats me to the punch, basically. And I have to take, push. He's getting in here. Maybe then my knight can jump there. Okay, let's do that. We don't have forever. The knight can always come back here. And I'm sort of just preparing to play this d5 move. So I'm going to take. And now I'm going to play this. Trying to free my position to some degree, and now I'm going to play here. That was the idea. Now my knight is actually defended by both of these pawns, or by a pawn and a bishop. And he's just carrying on, which is fine. At least here, if I want, I can take. And I guess my position feels slightly freer than it was earlier. When he takes back, he's going to be hitting my other knight, which can then therefore probably come over here. So I think we'll do that. If he sits his bishop here, maybe then I can try and break through over this way. I should probably think about it. I just think that's, almost a mandatory move here. And so let's give it a go. Also, it would have been possible to play this move straight away, attacking the bishop, but that's okay. I saw here I can play this. So that's what I'll do. I'll come back. This move still lingers, doesn't maybe come with the same zing anymore, but this is a position that I'm more comfortable with compared to what I had before. Now, of course, I've got to be aware he's threatening mate. So whatever I do, I just have to be careful about that. This does not fix the problem. Mate still occurs. This does temporarily fix the problem, but it creates a lot of weaknesses around my king. So, potentially dangerous. This does not really fix the problem because he takes en passant. I could take with the rook there so that after he checks me I can come here. Then he goes check, I move, he gets a queen trade and he just goes into an endgame where he's a pawn up. So I don't like that. Which really means this is a necessary evil at this stage. So let's do it. Pushes further down. Okay, I can put this here to try and hole up some of these dark squared weaknesses around my king. It does give up a pawn though. Not great. I could play this first as well. And that has the effect of firstly hitting his queen, forcing him to move. So if he takes back, I can take back, also opening up my bishop. If he doesn't take back, well, at least I've closed this portion of the board for the minute. Also, he can start with check. He can start with check, but I take that with my rook. I don't think I'd need to fear that to a huge extent. I could take here first. I've got options, really. Taking might be nice. I could also now play this if I really wanted to, but it leaves him with a strong passed pawn, pretty close to promotion square, which might be a bad idea in the long term. So again, this move comes to mind. If he were to take, I'd be pretty happy. I'd just take back. If he does take, I take with the rook, and he still has to deal with this threat on the queen. So I would imagine there the queen would move, maybe somewhere like that. And then I can put the bishop here and say I'm sort of in this for the long run. So let's give this a go. If he takes there, I'll take with the rook. He took. Interesting. So now I'm thinking I'm going to take this way. Have a nice little pawn chain there. He takes there, I'm going to take here. I was checked, that's why I couldn't take his queen. But now that I've taken back and done away with the check, there is a threat to the queen. My bishop is now pointing at his side of the board, which is actually really quite nice. If I take there, he's going to have to take back with the pawn, ruining his pawn structure. So that's pretty nice. There's also this move right now. That move right now hits the bishop and really forces the bishop to move back to one of these two squares, which then allows either way to push the next pawn through, hitting the bishop again and forcing the bishop back here. I don't see another option there. Doesn't matter which way he goes, he's going to end up in this position with my pawns here and his bishop up there. At which point in time my knight can even jump here, hitting the queen. Queen can jump back here. Really, very interesting, this position. Other possibilities also include this. He can't really take this. I mean, he could. But he'd be giving the bishop, he'd be giving the queen up for two pieces. So actually, I think my position here is pretty good. And another option, maybe a very nice option, is this, hitting the queen. Ooh, is this winning for me even? I don't know. But here I hit the queen, I hit the bishop. If the queen just puts itself, say here, I take a free bishop. And if the queen moves anywhere to defend the bishop, then I hit this pawn move. Bishop has to come here, and then there's a fork, so I'm going to play this. Also brings another defender here for what it's worth. Centralizes the knight, prevents him from bringing the bishop forward. So it seems like a good move and a low risk move, but then again, I'm playing against a strong player. And I guess anything can happen. In the sense that not truly, anything can't truly happen. One move you could consider here might be something like this. Well, no, because that loses the queen, but maybe something like this, which he doesn't play. So I'll look at that later, because the idea would have been if I took here, then he can take here. But it's a moot point, and I think he's made a mistake, because now there's this. And like I say, I think this is just going to be winning some material for me. So I'm going to try this. This is defended twice. So he can't take, he has to move back. And then there's the fork. I'm going to end up winning material and then being able to destroy his pawn structure. This could be good. In fact, it is good. It is good. Now, to not choke, to just play on. And of course, playing against a strong player, they're never going to make it easy. They're never ever going to make it easy. In fact, they're going to complicate things. That's what this guy's going to do. He's going to try and make things really complex. Like he might give this bishop up, instead attack my rook, and then land on the queen. So let's say he comes here. I take, he takes here. I take queen, he takes queen. I take rook with check. He takes, I take that. I'm absolutely crushing. So that clearly does not work, simply because of this. And I don't think I'm missing anything there. Is there any way for him to get a mate attack happening, a mating attack? He's going for it. I don't think this is going to work though. So I'm going to take. Might he come here? Well, I'm hitting the queen, so he needs to deal with that. He really needs to deal with that. And then we'll keep on considering further options. Okay, so now he's attacking the rook. But I can still come here. That comes with an attack on the queen and also an attack on this pawn. Queen would have to move again. And where would the queen go? It's also an attack on this pawn. Say the queen comes here to defend that. Then there's this move, forking the queen again. So I really like this move a lot. I think that's probably the move. If he takes here, I take here with check. So I'm going to give this a go. Going to give this a go. Also brings another defender to this potentially vulnerable point. Keeps him on his toes. Does give him this pawn. I didn't quite appreciate that. But it gives me some chances up here too. Maybe. I might have to play this now, actually, because otherwise he's got a lot of pressure here. So maybe I've misplayed that. I could also come here, because that threatens mate. Essentially forces a trade. But after the trade, he's going to win back the exchange. He's going to win back the exchange. So maybe this was an error on my part. Or maybe I just have to continue like this. Give him back this pawn. Bring this here, attacking the queen further. Where would the queen then go? Has to go somewhere to defend the bishop. Which I guess is not the hardest job in the world. What have I done? Another option here would be this. To defend the pawn, but then you're giving up the exchange anyway. Okay. This option seems pretty nice. Do give the pawn up, it's a bit of a shame. And again, computer's frozen. So if I were to come here, you can just play this check, which is very, very nasty. Very, very nasty. So I can't allow that. Maybe this. Or maybe this, and then when he moves, defend this rook somehow. That wouldn't work. But this, he takes that. And then... no, not liking it. There is a check here. The check, and after he takes, I could even take here. And if he takes, then there's this check with the bishop. And the queen's free, the rook might be able to swing over. This might be worth looking at, really. Check. If he just steps away, well then perhaps I've got this check. Let's see what happens if he takes. Directly he takes. I take here and he takes. Does this even work? Probably not. I should probably just play on in a relatively even position, right? Yeah, let's do this. Let's attack the queen. And maybe I can put the rook here. That might make this more worthwhile of an idea. Could even give the exchange up here because I am still up a pawn. So let's say I take this with a threat against this. Yeah, that could be nice. So take, he takes, I take. I think that's what I'm going to try. Do I want to bring my rook into the game here first as well? I don't think so, because it lets him come over this way. If only this rook wasn't there, there'd be a nice fork, but it is there. But I guess if I come here and he were to move over there, then there's this to hit the rook. That could also be very nice. Yeah, interesting position. So this looks pretty decent, but I'm not sure. So I go up, I'm up 2 pawns there. Then he comes here, let's say. I have to be aware that in these kinds of variations, my knight is the thing that defends my bishop. And in turn, my rook defends the knight. So if he then takes and takes, the whole thing becomes shaky. If I take like this, I'm hitting the rook. So after takes. Yeah! I've got to do something soon. So let's look at this again. Bring this over and attack the queen. Maybe. There's also still this check right now. You can take it in a variety of different ways. There's also this check. There's this. I think I'm going to give up on this rook idea, right? So maybe I'm going to do this and then just come back. That could be a legitimate option too. Take the pawn. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. That seems a bit more solid somehow. If he comes over this way, then I take. Let's try it. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I want to bring this rook over here first. If he comes there, I take this. He takes, I take. He takes, check. I'm going to take. You got to go for the jugular, right? Got to go for what matters, the king. Let's see what he does. Again, if he takes here, I will take back. Bishop's defending, at least for now. So he tries to get rid of the defender, which makes a lot of sense. But I can just come back, I think, for now. Also, I'm ready to regather that defender. Very much ready to regather that defender. Also, I can just take the rook, right? Let's do that. Let's take the rook. Then if he takes my bishop, I'll take back. And I think I'm still better. I don't think I'm worse in any case. I don't need to pre-move, but okay, so he's taken like that. He's attacking this. I can certainly just go for simplification here. Be lovely to play this move right now, but I can't because he takes. This move now seems a lot more, playable. Maybe also this, but he's going to take with check. Ooh, and if I play this, he's got check, and when I take back, he takes the rook, so I can't do that, in fact. So, what about this move? Or this move? Is this move interesting? Or this move? Maybe not. Alright, I'm going to take. Keep this position a bit simpler. When he takes back, it is a check. And then I just need to put my king somewhere where it's relatively safe. Maybe here. But he's going to come after this. So I don't want to even be pinned, really. So what if I just come here? He can pin me, so if I come here and he comes here, it's a bit annoying. So I don't want to allow that, so I'm going to come here. Okay, now he is attacking this multiple times, but at least I can come here. And it's defended multiple times. Alright. And now how about a move like this? I've got to be very quick. Or even a move like this. Yeah, let's do a move like this. Try and get a queen trade. And also blockade his pawn. So I'm offering him a queen trade. That's the idea here. He doesn't want it. I'm going to come here. At least now I'm blockading the pawn. I can bring my rook over and try and win this pawn potentially. I'll bring my rook here and do it this way. My queen does a nice job. Everything's good, everything's great except my clock. But otherwise everything's looking good here. Very tricky. I'm sure it's an easy situation to lose track of. What's he gonna do? There's nothing here yet. He's going there. I'm going to bring my rook in, like I said. He can't play this yet. If he does this, I take with my king to prevent any kind of trickery with a discovered check. So he comes here. Now I can again offer a queen trade if I want. I can also just come here. Or I can come here. That might be a nice move. Yeah, I like that idea. I like this idea. Let's get this, as we wanted to a long time ago, to plug up these dark squares around the king. We do so with tempo now, and now we can even come here, and I think that's going to basically win the game. I think that basically wins the game because it's going to force a trade here. We're forcing trades. He can't check me anywhere. If he moves the queen out the way somewhere, we get a trade, and that's very helpful, and then we can even win this pawn. So let's do that. Take, he takes back, and I win this pawn. And now I'm in a beautiful position, which I can confidently win, even with a low amount of time against a 1942. Pressure on this pawn, which he ignores. Now I can take. And I sort of think, hey, why not? Why not do that? He can give a check, I'm well aware. My thought is I just block the check. Block the check for the moment. My queen can give a check and then come. He's resigned. All right. I gotta say, when the game started, I was playing against someone well into the 1900 rating range, and I assumed this is gonna be tough. And we started playing down this variation of the Ruy Lopez, where I felt uncomfortable from the beginning. I'm pretty sure I played theoretical moves, but of course my theoretical knowledge kind of dropped off early on, and I had to find a way to play that I was comfortable with. So I think key moments were, for instance, here was one. I'm pretty sure this is a book move. But here I wasn't too sure what to do. I think I just played d6. Can't be a bad move. But really it was here, the first moment where I'm out of book, don't know the theory, and realized that I was in a really cramped position and his bishops are really nice, which kind of is the first time I've really thought about this from the white side of the Ruy Lopez. When I play the Ruy Lopez from the white side, I actually typically do something which is not the main line, but after this move here, instead of retreating the bishop, as he did, I actually often play the exchange. I often play the exchange from the white side, and, I play this kind of variation, which is very, very entirely different. And the reason I do it is because there's a lot of theory in the Ruy Lopez proper, whereas the exchange to me is a little bit more, it's a little bit more forcing, and therefore a little bit less to learn in terms of the theory. But here I'm on the black side, so white got to control. White got to say, no, we're going into this non-exchange variation, where I would imagine white probably knows a lot of the theory. As it happened, I knew enough of the theory to get myself here. And here I didn't know what to do anymore. And feeling cramped, I realized that what I really wanted to do was play this move. I knew it would be a pawn sacrifice if I did it at the moment. And ultimately that's why I thought, look, I'll develop the bishop. Now, interestingly, this move c5 was another one of my candidate moves, but the bishop move is also good, gets the tick of approval, and it doesn't leave me with this pawn being a backwards pawn, as it would be the case here. If I play this, this is a backwards pawn. There's no other pawns to defend it. The bishop here is essentially a big pawn, I suppose. But after this bishop move, I had a plan as well. That's the most important thing, is I actually sort of understood what I was doing here, wanting to break here. And I knew he was going to want to break in the center. That's why I played these moves quickly, because I spent a lot of time calculating here. And by the time I'd finished calculating, it was simply time to play. So I played, and when he broke, I captured, and when he took back, I played d5. Now, technically, that's an inaccuracy. Technically an inaccuracy. But it doesn't give white any huge edge. White has to play e5, which they did. So white played the best move, and they do have an advantage, but it's nothing game winning. It's a strong advantage, but it's not the end of the world, and it let me move into this position that I had foreseen, where my knight looks okay, blocking off his bishop, I'm defended by everything, and most importantly, it's something that I feel comfortable in. It's a position I'm comfortable in, and that's really important. Here he put more pressure on my knight, and since I can't really defend the knight any further, not even with a move like this, because he would take en passant, although maybe then I could drop the knight back, what that does, it essentially opens the whole position for him. Here I decided just to take, and the computer says, no, I should have in fact played this. Let's have a look at the variation. I would have thought here it would be e takes f6, taking en passant, and maybe here knight recaptures back, I would think. Yeah, bishop or knight, they're roughly equivalent. And I suppose, this would have been another way to do it. But the way that I did do it was I captured the knight. And now his advantage is grown. He's actually still in the driver's seat. But I still felt pretty good. I put my knight here, which was the good move to do. Attacking both of these things. And again, at least I felt more comfortable because my pieces were doing things. I knew what they were doing. He came here, defending everything. And now I played this move, c5. Yet another inaccuracy, but yet again, not giving him the biggest advantage in the world, and giving him an advantage where he has to play accurately, otherwise it can diminish pretty quickly. So, alright. And he did not play accurately. Another sort of, after I played this move, I realized I could have also considered b4, which is the best move according to the computer, the idea being to move this bishop away. And when the bishop moves, you can either take the bishop or take this pawn with a tempo on the queen. But I had in advance, I think, assumed that I'd need to play c5 at some point to try and really free my position. So I just went for it straight away, and yeah, it was a bit of an inaccuracy in comparison to b4, but again, not the end of the world. And after he took, I came back here, which is actually, it says not a missed win, but a really missed opportunity. Why is it such a missed opportunity? Well, it's a missed opportunity because I could have essentially got rid of his bishop, I think. Where does the bishop go? Here or here, my knight can take it. Here I can push it away. I don't really understand this, because if I push it away, it can, even just come back home there potentially. Although then I can also push this, and I'm starting to get a passed pawn. I'll show you what I mean. So had he come here, push, this position's nice. I've essentially got a passed pawn. If he takes, I take back, and this is a passed pawn. If he moves, I push this. And now, let's say he moves back. And again, in some respects, I've got a passed pawn. I can also drop the knight back if I want. In any case, it's looking fine. It's not what I did. I moved my knight back. And here it says that he's got a big advantage, but he has to play e6, which he didn't. He played that coming up soon. e6 doesn't look like the most obvious move of all time, but that's what he would have had to do. e6, and after g takes... No, that's not g takes. Sorry, e6 and then g6. Then d takes c5, so he's basically pushing this to try and open up his bishops. Complex stuff. Anyway, he went for the mate. I played g6. I felt that was essentially forced. Let's see, was there really anything else I could have done? No. I mean, it's g6 and you're sort of in the game, or anything else and you're completely lost. So that's why I played g6. It was forced. And then here, I still felt in control, even though he's got the better outcome. With c4, and after he took, I was actually surprised that he took, but after he took, suddenly I've got the slight advantage. I took back, opening my bishop. He took, but that wasn't a big deal. I just was always going to take back. And then he moved, and I got to jump my knight in, which was nice. And actually, yeah, the advantage is big time in my favor now. So it's kind of a position where I was comfortable. My position was comfortable, even though he had a technical advantage. And although he had a technical advantage, if he didn't play precisely, it would quickly turn into a terrible advantage towards me, which is what happened. That's exactly what happened. So you wouldn't necessarily think in this position that pawn takes pawn is a terrible move, but as it turns out it is, because now my pieces are so well coordinated and everything works. And here, this nice idea of b4, he tried to make things complicated, and I think I played pretty well from here. I took, looking at his queen, he had to move the queen out the way. And here again, I wasn't too sure what to do, but I felt like this was a really nice move. Computer agrees, even though it gives the pawn up. And then here, attacking him, keeping his queen on the run, giving another pawn. And look at this, a blunder. It sort of felt like I might have been blundering. The other move I was considering here was attacking the queen. Had I played this move, that would have been a lot better. In a technical sense, would have retained my advantage. But the move I actually played was a blunder, and why? Even though it's a blunder, it still actually keeps me with an advantage. So it's just not as good. I don't know if blunder is really the right word, because it was also, again, something I could understand. I knew he was going to win this. I didn't want to take with my bishop. I felt like this would have been a blunder I could understand, if in fact it is a blunder. We'll see. The computer's really taken a long time. I need a new computer system for this kind of, recording chess. This was a mistake, and I can understand why. Because he's going to take here, and when I take back, this knight's kind of hanging in midair. And it's the only thing keeping this thing safe. So this whole construction is hanging in midair. Whereas taking with the knight meant that it had a firm anchor point, which itself had a firm anchor point. So I felt this was a lot more firm, essentially. And although he took my rook, I took back. I knew that was always going to be the case. Now I am attacking this, and I've also sort of opened up his king, and nothing else. This might be able to come back, and there's more threats on the way. Maybe the bishop's going to come in somewhere. I felt this was okay, and the computer agrees it's okay. Again, something I could understand. But here, he blundered, and I think for the last time, I decided to make things simple. Now, again, to show, this could have happened. If I was careless, I could have attacked his queen. Had I attacked his queen, he would have had the move check, just winning a full piece. And if I take the piece back, he wins the rook. And that would have been a disaster. Even though here I could move the knight back and threaten mate, there's ways for him to deal with that. One great way, as they've said, is even check. When you take back, there's this check. Ooh, that's nasty, and you're also forking. But anyway, that wasn't to be, because thankfully I saw that was hanging in the air, and therefore that this was not a possible move, not possible to attack the queen. Instead, I thought, let's keep it simple. Let's actually take his bishop. I think that's what I played. Oh no, it's not what I played, sorry. I kept it simple, but I started by taking the rook, and that made a lot of sense. Then when he took back, then I simplified further. Interestingly, computer says that's a mistake, and now it's going to be a draw. If he plays queen takes b3 check, which he did. And the best move here is king f8, which is what I played, specifically because I didn't want to get pinned. Had I gone king g7, I thought he might play queen b7, and now he's got two attackers on this bishop. Bishop can't move. I really have no way to bring an extra defender there except bringing my king back, and that seems like counterproductive. If I need to bring my king to one of these squares in the first place, I might as well immediately go right now to f8, so that's what I did. Came to f8. And then here he was inaccurate. I think he was trying to maybe flag me on the clock, beat me on time. But in the first place, I've already got everything defended. Two defenders, two attackers, so that's fine. In the second place, I can bring this across now, which is what I did. It says it's an excellent move. I feel like some of my inaccurate moves and even blunders were more deserving of this excellent exclamation, but anyway. Rook a7, just bringing something else to the defenders. And he started pushing the pawn. And here I went for the queen trade, just trying to simplify things, thinking if you take and I take back, I've halted your progress, everything of mine is safe, and I've got more material, so eventually I should win, and the very worst, I should never lose. He didn't want the queen trade, he wanted to keep it complicated, so he gave me a check. Here I moved up. I didn't think it necessarily mattered if I went to f7 or g8. He can't give me any meaningful checks from here, so as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter. And here he came, a reasonable move. If he could push the pawn forward, it'd be a check. But as long as I'm blockading this square, he can't do that. My queen's also defending this pawn, which therefore means I can bring this rook over and push him around a bit more, which is what I did. And when he moved, we saw the rest of it. Put the bishop here, attack him, and then that was the final mistake, because now I get to bring the rook over, and I'm guaranteed a trade. So once he moves the queen, we trade. I take the pawn. He tried to hold on, but there's nothing stopping me from taking this pawn, and you can see the evaluation. But not only is the evaluation very much in my favor, but there's also just nothing he can do. Yes, he can check, and I can happily just block with my bishop, because he's got no way to add pressure to this fire. This pinned piece cannot be piled up against. I just leave my king where it is, and I start pushing this pawn. I give him a check. I make another queen. Life's actually very easy there. So that's the reason he resigned. He can't bring this pawn down and add more pressure. I mean, even if it got that far, I'd just step up and take it with my king. But it would never get that far, because I'd take it with my... There's just nothing he can do. That's why he resigned, and that's how I defeated a person who at the time was rated, what was he, 1950, something like that? When the game started, he lost 12 points. So he was 1942. He was rated 1942, and that brings me a little bit closer up toward 1800. Not unhappy with that game. Despite the inaccuracies and mistakes by the computer standard, I think I played in a very practical way, and ultimately, whenever you beat someone rated 1942, you're playing pretty decent chess to be able to do that, I think. Not to blow my own horn too much, just a little bit. But there we go. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll do it again soon. Cheers, bye.